Okay, so this is what the fuss is all about. This is the Tepla Vltava brook. It runs into what becomes the Vltava River, which goes all the way to Milnyuk, and it starts right up behind me here on a mountain called Black Mountain, or Chanahora, and it travels down to this point where you can access it because the actual start of it is sealed off for some obvious reasons, I guess. But right here you're right about, well, you can cycle, you can walk if you like. I decided to cycle. It's about 7 kilometers from Kvilda in the Shumava National Park, and this is what it's all about. This water flowing out here is the mouth, or one of the sources, of the Vltava River. Okay, Indy, little shot of the village called Kvilda. This is the highest village in the Czech Republic. It's information's office on the other side. There's the church. Can't see too much there, I'm sure. And just driving through the village. The reason I've come here is for my book, which is all about the entire Czech Republic. And it's quite a project, but unlike some writers in travel, I have to be there to see it. Shut up, Simon. That's my GPS voice. It's a little stroppy at times because I've got him set to go the other way. I just came through the village to show you. And now we're off. And we're going down the mountains, the Shumava mountains they are, which border the Czech Republic with Bavaria at this point, Germany. And coming up again into the village now. All the guest houses are getting spruced up and expanding by the minute because so many people come here just to see the source of the long Vltava River, which is the principal river. And thank you. It's very nice of him to direct me around the obvious. And this is where I stayed on the right hand side, the cream coloured building. And we're going out of town now. Won't take us long. You can see there's a turn off to the right here. Saying goodbye to my property manager. And down there is where you enter the forest. And yesterday I did it on a bicycle because it's the only way you can do it, into the bush where the links are, but I didn't come across any, thankfully. And loads of cycles going down that way because you go up the mountain. You literally climb about 60 meters straight up to what is one of the two sources of the mighty Vltava River, which goes all the way from the borderland here up to Prague and beyond to a place called Milnyuk. And it becomes a real torrent at times, and in fact they had to have flood mitigation systems put in right along the length of it. And it's a tiny trickle where it starts up here in the mountains. And of course, as I deal a lot with the Vltava River, I decided to come up here and photograph it and also get the layout of the land as people try to see that point. And there are lots of bicycles, lots of hikers who are doing the 7 kilometers to see that, the high point. Good thing about climbing a mountain on a bike is that you freewheel all the way back down. That was fun. Anyway, this will give you a little bit of the Shumava mountains, mate, as we drive down the other side of the mountain. I'm heading back towards where we are, over the other side of the country. Took me about 5.5 hours to drive across. I left early in the morning and got across here around about noon. So, here we go. Typical European forest. Used to have bears in there and of course a few wolves, but They were gone centuries ago. This place here was really developed in the 16th century and became part of the Sudetenland, and that's a long area because it's all the border regions where the German settlements came in, and of course Hitler claimed a lot of them, and that was his excuse for invading what was then Czechoslovakia. It's now a separate state on its own, the Czech Republic. Anyway, I'll shut up, mate, the way you do, and let the people enjoy the video. You especially, because I love your videos of Australia, so I thought this would be something different for you. History everywhere, mate, within the villages and within the towns and cities, of course, going back centuries. A bit different, but I love Australian towns, as you know, and so I really do have the best of both worlds when I'm visiting here. I'm driving a Skoda, which is really designed by Volkswagen and made by the Czechs, and it's a Fabia Combi. Good thing about this model is that it's a small petrol engine, but it's a turbo engine, so therefore it gets me out of trouble when I need to avoid, as you do on a daily basis, bad car drivers. I'm only doing 76 k's an hour, and speed limit is 90 on the secondary roads, and this is a secondary mountain road. But of course you've got a few twists and turns coming up, hello, right on cue, and so therefore it's a slower than normal ride down. But the green compensates for all that. Being the highest village up there, the temperatures here in summertime are about the same as Sydney is in wintertime. However, with the sun streaming down all the time, of course, when you're riding a bike up a mountain, it gets a bit hot. Opens up occasionally into a bit of pasture land, not enough probably to run any livestock, although you do see sheep all over the place when you get into the mountains, even though lamb's very hard to get here, and of course it's one of my favourite meats. And as for the beef, well, they do produce it, but it's mainly, I don't see too many. I did yesterday coming up the other side of the mountain. I saw cattle grazing. And of course this is a forest area, so it is wooded, and therefore you occasionally come across timber jinkers, which I must tell you, this is Tepla Vltava. It's a very historic place, and it's about a man and a dog live here. But it's another point where they set off to go into the forest proper to look for the source of the Vltava, the Pramen, that means spring, Vltava, which means Vltava, the river. So this is only really a tiny village too. 400 meters, turn left, then take the second right. Thank you, Simon. I choose an English voice. There you go, Tepla Vltava is behind that cyclist, the signpost, and I'm going via Vimperk, apparently. Big castle down there. Turn left, Tepla Vltava, then take the second right. Okay, Simon, I will do as I am told. Little pensions and guest houses, of course, and lots of bicycles, because they're all heading into the forest on them. Loads and loads of mountain trails, and they're centuries old as well. They used to get from village to village on those trails, at least some of them. And this is summertime. After 200 meters, take the second right. Second right? Okay, I can see the first one coming up here. Looks like the tractor's in it there, or a caterpillar. No, that's not a right hand. The second right, you said. Oh, we want the right, Tepla Vltava. I beg your pardon, Simon, get your Czech right. God, he speaks terrible Czech. Almost as bad as mine. Okay, we're leaving that village. I hope you didn't blink. most of the mountains are over on my right hand side and you really can't see them. A lot of development going on out here. A lot of new houses have gone in here. See how the road narrows? Lots of fun, mate. Especially if a timber jigger's going the other way. Don't like your timber jiggers, mate. They're the same over here. Just don't have confidence in the strap, not the driver, but the straps on those things when they're so heavily loaded. Anyway, you would know all about that, Indy. Isn't this beautiful though? You go into these beautiful groves, and little old places on the side. I think that was a loo, actually. What? Out here? Okay, mate. We'll do a little bit more, but I need the power in the camera for some later photographs. So I won't do too much.
Follow 167 for 7.2 kilometers.
Okay, Simon, shut up. Okay, that's one way to get around. Luckily, he's going down the mountain. Okay, Andy, I hope you enjoyed it. Got to turn off now, mate.